Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show, coming at you as always on a Monday midday with Andrew Combo Cell to discuss the latest and the greatest in the NBA, and we have a lot to talk about. So, Combo, how you doing?
I'm doing well. You know, it's always great talking basketball with you, Coach Nick. So I'm glad to be here, man. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad that you are here, as always, and I'm glad that we're side by side instead of the other way, right? Because this is how you like it.
Virtual, right? High five or no? We're not doing that.
Oh, right. It's this way.
There you go. Good job.
No, you gotta go the other way.
No. This is right. Or maybe I don't know how they see it, but this is right for me.
Oh, really? I'm looking at it as the other way. That's fascinating. So you don't see our hands. To me, we're both going the same way.
Interesting. So weird. All right.
Well, there's ways to monitor that. So let me see who's correct. Anyway, but thanks for everyone for being here. And I think maybe you're mirrored, maybe perhaps when you're looking.
Oh, I like the angle today though. You got the TikTok camera on today. It's good.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Yeah. So, all right, we got to talk a lot about the Game 7 that happened yesterday, early game, midday, which is always a little bit weird, I think, for NBA players to have to get up earlier and get to get their muscles working earlier than they normally try. I just realized that the thumbnail says Jokic cheated ? Didn't mean Jokic cheated. I mean he was cheated by Caruso. So I'm going to change that. So don't worry about it.
I was a little confused by that.
Yeah, forgive me. I didn't. You could look at it either way. Jokic cheated. Like, was he cheated or did he cheat? So forgive me because obviously it wasn't Jokic cheating at all. It was, did he get cheated by Caruso? So you saw the game. In case you didn't, or you're a little bit fuzzy with what's going on, the OKC did a pretty novel approach, which they hadn't done very much of, but a little bit, but not a lot, whereby they were going to put Caruso on Jokic. And Caruso was 6'5", 190-ish against a 7-footer who is 270, probably, whatever, maybe more. Certainly a bold move, Cotton, but how did you think it worked for them?
It worked great. I mean, I think a lot of it was how it was officiated because I think they let Caruso get real physical with them. I don't know, in the back of their mind, they were thinking what you were thinking, like, oh, this guy's 270, the other guy's 190, 6'5". We're not giving him that. Maybe it was the Hooper mindset in them. I don't know. But I thought he did a great job. And it's going to be interesting in the next series who he'll guard because they'll probably deploy some more of that in the next series. And they might have found something here.
I agree. I mean, here's the thing. We've seen some novel approaches work against Jokic, like the Lakers did Rui on him and then allowed AD to roam. And that seemed to work and help. But I can't remember anybody else doing this with a guard on him, right? But then again, nobody else has a guard like Caruso.
Right.
Caruso is an elite defender. And they just showed him talking way back in the day on a pod about what he needed to do to get in the league and how that was a great quote about having to figure out what your role is. You can't be the CEO. You got to be the maintenance man, something like that, right? Mm-hmm. My wonder is, are you familiar with his game in college at all?
Not much, but I'm pretty familiar with it throughout the NBA. I mean, he's actually, all his bandwidth goes to defense, but he's not bad offensively either. That's what's interesting to him.
Well, because I'm kind of wondering, I do want to almost do a deep dive defensively. I don't think I have time today to get the video out, which I am doing, by the way. I have a great interview with Ronnie Nunn, ex-NBA referee, who made some amazing points. In fact, after we were done recording, we talked even further, and I'm going to have to try and see if I can sneak in some other ideas he brought up. But one of them is that today's referees in the NBA have very little experience with two post players going at it down low. Ooh. When Ronnie was coming up, he had to deal with like Olajuwon being guarded by Ewing. And we do not have that. You might have Jokic doing it, and every once in a while, like an Embiid would guard him, right? But we know that Embiid is almost never available when they play each other now, right? That seems to be a thing so there just simply aren't any reps and experience for any of these referees now to know what a foul is, what a not foul isn't, down low in the post, because they don't exist. And so I thought Ronnie made a really great point there. But we got to talk. So let's get into it because, the game shifted pretty much as soon as Caruso came in, right? Like that was it. It was the Nuggets had a lead. They had a little bit of control of the game. And then as soon as Caruso comes in, it shifts.
Everything got looser for them too. I thought they were a little tight in the first quarter or so. And, there was a chance that Denver could hang around. And then, I mean, with Aaron Gordon not really being himself, even though it was a valiant effort. And I thought he should have played. I mean, kudos to him for playing, because I think most modern NBA players wouldn't. But I mean, it's game 7. He has the solo summer to rest. You only get so many cracks at a championship. But I thought that was a huge factor. And then, yeah, Caruso changed everything. And once he changed everything, everybody felt more comfortable on both sides of the floor for OKC. And it was a blowout. And now we've seen not defending champs. We've seen 2 recent champs losing a blowout in their elimination game, which is also really interesting.
Game 7 blowouts didn't used to be that rare in my mind, because
the game 6, it was game 6 for the Celtics, by the way, but yeah.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. But closeout games sometimes turn into that. They used to do a lot more because the other team that's losing gets a little bit desperate. They take a couple threes and all of a sudden the game gets loosened and then falls apart and it's over, and that's sort of what happened in this game as well, because by, midway through the third quarter, it was a 20-some point lead. It was over. Like they weren't going to give it up at home. And listen, there were some moments where, Denver should feel very fortunate that they were that close, right? There was the Gordon 3 at the buzzer, which was just, a crazy, I think that Daigneault learned his lesson about following up by 3 too early. And then, it was just Russ did the right thing. He didn't just go headlong into Chet and try and lay it in. He hit Gordon, like things that normally wouldn't even happen. Gordon isn't a knockdown lights out shooter from 3, but he hit it.
He's been through stretches where he has, though, in this play.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But and Chet kind of got out there. So at any rate, it was a kind of an interesting thing that got them that far. But Aaron Gordon's interesting thing, and you're right. He might as well give him a shot and see how he felt. And in the first quarter, it went okay, right? He played almost 8 minutes. Was 1 for 2 from the field, had 5 rebounds, and kind of gave them some stability, even though he turned the ball over once. Clearly, like he's just not moving well. But I think at some point they needed to go away from him. He really wasn't moving well at all and wasn't really effective. And I know that they're shorthanded as it is, but it just felt like even the moment where he commits an offensive foul on SGA, the reason why that happened was because they could be completely and utterly in his face, knowing that there is no way he's putting the ball on the ground and trying to drive. And that's tough to play offense when you have one of your 5 players out there knowing that they're not going to do anything with the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I actually thought he was really impactful just in a different way. Like, he obviously wasn't athletic, but you saw how high IQ of a guy he was. It was kind of like Blake Griffin towards the end, or even Boris Diaw. Like, he didn't have the athleticism, but he was making like really smart plays. And a lot of the offense was running through him, even though he was hindered and wasn't moving well. But I agree with you. Yeah, there was a point where it wasn't going to work out anymore with him because he couldn't explode by, and then the defense would inevitably exploit that.
For sure. And like to start the third quarter, like that was a big moment where they needed to go. And he played 7 minutes. I think he played 7 straight minutes too. And, he missed his shot, turned the ball over twice. At that point, you need to try and find another solution. So let's get a little bit more into the notion of what Caruso means. And by the way, if you're getting here a little bit late after the very beginning, the thumbnail about Jokic being cheated, I meant, was he cheated like by Caruso, not was he cheating? So don't worry about that if you are. And don't forget, if you have a question you want us to answer, the super chat on the YouTube side is the best way to do that. And we'll put your name up on the screen and give you lots of hype and love. And it really helps us keep the show going. So we really appreciate it. So let's just quickly address a couple things. So I had Ronnie come on. I'm editing a video. So please watch the video. I think it'll be really insightful and have a lot of really great points made about how the defense was on Jokic by Caruso. Because again, like we mentioned, there is this notion that in the post, certainly anybody in my era watches anything that happened in that game yesterday, and you're like, that's not even close to even the whistle getting near anyone's lips to blow, much less be a foul. But I think what also happened is that the game has changed over the last several years, or a lot of years. The whistle does blow a lot more often, right, for a lot less in other areas of the court as well. I don't think people are used to post play. And what's supposed to be post play, what is physical, what's not. Certainly when you hear terms, because on Twitter, it lit up Twitter. My mentions are destroyed and have been for the last 24 hours with a couple of the clips I shared about Caruso playing good defense. But the Denver Nuggets fans want to use words like mauling, murder. What are some other ones? Hugging, some really, really extreme language to describe what, I don't know. I'm looking at these things thinking this is just post play. It's nice playoff physical post play. There's an advantage, not advantage, to anybody in particular. What did you think about that?
No, I thought he got pretty physical. I think the refs could have called a few of them, but I mean, it's playoff basketball and Jokic is way bigger. So I'm not mad at it. I don't think it was excessive, is what they're saying. But I mean, he definitely was very physical with him. But I think we saw in the East and the West, and I think it benefited the Knicks sometimes during the Celtics series. It's like the whistle changes in the playoffs, you know? I mean, he might get those calls in the regular season.
And when the whistle changes, right, and there's an adjustment that players are supposed to be able to make. You're in the huddles. Okay, we've now got a quarter of the game through. We kind of got a handle on how they're playing this. I think Nuggets fans are going to then turn around and say, well, SGA was getting every call he ever wanted. And I kind of think that was residual from like what they were thinking in the regular season, because in Game 7 at least, I don't think SGA got any calls that weren't merited. Let me check on the whole thing, how many free throws he got. I have to go through all that as well, just for context. But he shot. SGA went 8 for 9. So he got 4 shooting calls for him, and I'm pretty sure all 4 of those calls were like legit fine. I'm not even sure anybody necessarily complained on the.
I think I remember Jamal Murray complaining on one of them, right?
I can remember Murray complaining his own.
Actually, drive. I think was that the game before SGA actually dropped him, like literally, like made him fall like a move, and then when Jamal Murray got up, he started complaining that it was a foul. He started watching it when he got up, and he was complaining that he didn't really get fouled. I don't know if that was the game before this game.
Okay. Well, yeah. I'm going to call up, maybe we can even try and share this if I can. Let me see here if I can maybe download the clips while we're talking. But at any rate, it's a little bit rough because whatever you're going to try and say about SGA and then try and make an apples to apples comparison with what was happening in the post with Jokic, it doesn't work that way, right? These are a completely different style of stuff. Now, if you had a drive where SGA pulls up quick and gets a foul, and then Jokic does the same thing and doesn't get the foul, okay, now we have a conversation going. But when you're watching like just physical defense, commanding your position, there are little moments that are irritants, and this is what Ronnie says a lot. You'll see in the video. He's being an irritant, and so Ronnie made a really good point as well about this. You'll see again. Please watch it. Is the notion that you got to clean up some of the things in the very beginning that are like clampish, a little bit, where he gets his hands on top of Jokic's hands, even if it's very briefly and he gets out of there. Or another one where he did kind of have his Caruso had his right arm over Jokic's right arm, and Jokic had to kind of do a swim move to throw him off. And at that point, while the play moved on and it went away from that, it really maybe even on that particular play, the referee felt, thank goodness I didn't blow the whistle because it didn't really affect the overall play. What it does is it emboldens Caruso. It tells Caruso, oh, okay, this is what's on. This is what I can do. This is what, I know I can do. Maybe I'll go a little bit farther in a way that an immediate call there might just sort of send that message. Okay, let's clean this up right away. Let's stop doing all the extra stuff there, and then go, and then we'll go from there. So certainly Caruso did get called for a foul or two in there. But here's the crux of the matter. Are you ready, Combo?
Mm-hmm.
The crux of the matter for me wasn't that that Caruso was getting away with anything. It was that the function of the offense wasn't properly taking advantage of this. And that is what I'm going to point out in the video as well, because when they were getting an advantage is when they threw the ball at the nail to Jokic in the middle, and then they let him go one-on-one against Caruso, backed him down, hooked it in, backed him down, got up free throws. But they went away from that completely. So if you're going to try and post up on that left block where he loves to be, when you're at that angle on the floor, it's so much easier to load up and then offer help and then take away what Jokic is doing, on top of like the fact that Caruso is being physical, right? So that's a mistake. They kind of forgot, didn't realize in the moment, whatever it was, hey, get it back on the nail and spread. And instead, and then a couple times they did it in the second half where they got him on a nail and they ran their usual offense, and Murray burps up a bad three off of a handoff, which you can picture that, right? Throw the ball. Murray comes off high speed. It's a hard three to make. Now, he made one after that on the same play, but they were down by 20 at that point. The game was already over. So I was more frustrated the fact that they didn't recognize properly how to attack that. And then also, by the way, guess who Jokic was scoring on with pretty much with these?
Who?
Chet. And it wasn't hard to set a screen with Chet off ball on screen or on ball to get.
Yeah, why did they do more Jamal Murray, Jokic pick and roll and inverted pick and roll, you think?
So they put Chet on Brown. So suddenly they don't want to set screens with Brown on Jokic, I guess is probably part of the issue, right? But you kind of had to if you want to get Chet onto Jokic. So this was another, and I pointed that switch out. Remember in game 3 or 4 in that video, it really stymied the Nuggets. They never adjusted to that with Chet going to Brown, and that allows Chet to completely ignore Brown. They don't care if he's going to shoot threes. even though he was really good to start the game, right? But maybe fool's gold. And so.
Yeah.
That I think it was a strategy thing much more than it was anything that Caruso was doing. But we can't take away from the fact that Caruso is just a defensive monster. I mean, he dismantled their offense one man. It was crazy.
So will he be the Julius Randle stopper? Will Alex Caruso be the Julius Randle stopper this series?
Wow.
And then I do want to see SGA and Anthony Edwards guard each other. And I know there's going to be a lot of switching, and they're not going to get each other. They're not going to get each other every play, but that'll be box office, Coach Nick. That'll be box office. That's what I want to see. I'm from New York City, man. We want to see matchups.
I have no doubt that Ant is going to guard him. No doubt. We'll have that plenty. I don't know about SGA. They have a lot of defenders, right? So they might end up, keeping him away or whatever, but we'll get some of that. And I think that's great because both of those guys as superstars aren't going to get ticky-tack cheap fouls called on them against each other, right? So we're going to get real mano-a-mano matchup there. So you're right. I cannot wait for that completely. And we'll get to a little preview about the conference finals in a second. Let's get to some super chats. What do you say?
Yeah.
Bron, as always, thank you so much. And Bron, I think maybe I've wanted to send you a shirt, and maybe you don't want one, but if you do, email me, coachnick@bballbreakdown.com. You've been above and beyond for a long time now with us, and always really appreciate you being part of the conversation. And they ask, really dislike the OKC physicality narrative. It won't get better next round. Finch already ranted about it post-game during the regular season. He did. Remember that I did the video on this where Finch was freaking out about OKC's they foul all the time, right? And there's this notion that, if you foul all the time, they can't call all of them, and so you're getting away with a lot. And you know what? I don't know. Do you feel like that's true?
100%.
That they are legitimately fouling and they're just simply not calling it?
Yeah, think about like the Davion Mitchell type defender, and he's actually not even that physical or that much of a hack. He's just a really good defender. But those type of guys that like pressure you full court and they're doing it from the first play, the refs aren't just going to call 5 straight fouls on them. They kind of dictate the way the refs will call the game. And that's what they hang their hat on, those type of guys. Pat Bev is a good example, even a better example than Davion Mitchell.
Right. And by the way, they've got a bunch of Pat Bevs. They got Cason Wallace. They've got
more athletic and younger. And
yeah. Wallace is and Dort. I mean, geez, Louise, those guys.
Yeah, Dort is ridiculous. Dort's one of the better perimeter defenders in a long time.
Yeah. It tells you how good Caruso was, that Dort wasn't even getting any attention for what he does. And, and in fact, there was the one key play that we're going to break down in the video where everyone was really going nuts, that Dort gets the strip. After Caruso, fronts him and then he spins around him, and then Jokic hurries the shot. He misses the shot because Caruso has sped him up so much that he's just trying to quickly turn and shoot without barely even getting square to the basket for a layup. Right, like Jokic misses a point blank layup completely unmolested, nobody near him, gets the rebound and then goes up again, and there's Dort to just completely and cleanly strip it. So. That is a really interesting thing that we're going to get to see here in the next round with like how they're going to guard him, because I think we know that Rudy does not guard. I'm sorry. Now we're going the other way. Had it been Jokic playing Rudy, that would have been another interesting matchup as well. But it'll be interesting to see how that's going to work with Hartenstein and Chet against Rudy and Randall. And they could probably interchange that as well.
Do you think this is going to be a big series for Randall? Like he's going to have his way like the last 2 series? He's
playing as well as he ever has, right?
100%.
And we hadn't seen a guy like that who did a nice job balancing being really aggressive and taking good shots and also facilitating and kicking out when he needed to, right? So if he can maintain that, I think he needs to prove it to me a little bit more, because I was delighted to see that, but I got to have a little bit more data. That's going to be really, it's going to be a handful. Like, Chet won't be able to guard him, right?
Yeah. You know what I was also thinking about, Coach Nick, with these 4 teams, it's going to be more of a needle mover for legacies. Like when you think about, like if it was some of the older guys in the finals, I mean, if LeBron wins another one, like the GOAT debate would come up again. I mean, Steph Curry's already whatever, top 5 or top 10, however you want to name it. But if Jalen Brunson wins a chip, or Tyrese Halliburton wins a chip, or Anthony Edwards or SGA wins a chip, which one of them will, it'll totally change the way we have to talk about one of those players. And even a guy like Julius Randle, like if he wins a championship as the second best guy, like you got to change the way you talk about Julius Randle.
Yeah, absolutely. And the interesting thing is, I think the stat I saw on Twitter at some point was that we will have 7 different title winners in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
And like the 7 years before, whatever it was before that, it was like we only had 7 teams that had won titles the last 7 years, something like that, right? It's been a real recycling of the same teams over and over. So this is an interesting period of parity, and there's no question that whatever this opens for OKC or for Minnesota, I mean, I kind of feel like that's going to be the winner of the title, right? The OKC and Minnesota is going to be the real finals.
Yeah, I mean, OKC is the heavy favorite, I think, at this point. It's funny, like I'd be happy seeing any of these teams win for just like the individual storylines of it. I think it's like really exciting, like just which guy is going to get that first title, because a lot of the times these are younger stars. Like a lot of people talk about this, like usually like the world's best players get their first title around 27, 28. Some of these guys are a little bit younger than that. So that's
yeah. I mean, in OKC, I think they're still the youngest team in the league. So that would be unprecedented as well. And listen, SGA was great. Like I feel like I criticized him a little bit after Game 6 for sort of disappearing a little bit. Foul trouble was part of it, even though he shot really well. But like for the series, he averaged 30 a game, shot 52% from the field, increases assists and rebound totals from the regular season averages. So he was good. He was really that anchor that they needed and was dependable enough. But
he's not. I feel like he's not getting a lot of buzz right now.
Yeah,
he should.
Maybe one reason is because he's not. I haven't seen any of those fouls that he's been getting where the quick pulls. In fact, I've seen a few where they haven't given it to him, and it's cost them dearly in a couple of possessions there. So that's one reason why he was in the news all the time, right? It was because of those, and he's not getting them.
Well, yeah, he's not even in like the best player in the world.
Oh, right.
I mean, you usually hear that kind of buzz when a young player like him is on the best team and they're on the verge of winning a championship. Even back when, like, in the 90s, when there was like a younger star coming up, whoever may be, Michael Jordan, whoever it may be, they start getting that buzz. I just don't feel like it's the same buzz for SGA, unless you're like a true hoop fan, like you watch every game, then
Right, and this is his chance. Conference finals, all the eyeballs are on him every other night. This is his chance. I think this will be the series that will do that for him once and for all. And then certainly if they get to the finals, and again, that's the next level of that as well. So I would think that you'd finally get it once he gets through the gauntlet here. The question is can he do it? Like, is Minnesota enough to offer to keep him at like 40% field goal percentage? He's only scoring 23 a game, and it's tough. That would be the worst case scenario I imagine for him, right? For this, that would be the floor. Because he is that good. He's going to be able to score no matter what and be able to draw fouls and all that stuff. So we shall see. Now, I'm also a little bit worried about perhaps coaching adjustments. But that said, one of the best low-key adjustments they made was Chet on Brown. That caused a lot more havoc than I think people realized. And then, I don't know. Listen, on the other side with Denver, playing Russ in that first half was not helpful for them. I know he hit 1 3, but a couple turnovers and the spacing he does not provide was contributing to what Caruso was able to do as well. So, but they didn't have many other choices at that point, unfortunately, right? Denver ended up becoming, they were just sort of shorthanded all the way around. Let's get to another series. Oh, by the way, did we put the bow on the really dislike the OKC physicality narrative from Bron? I like it. I don't think I have no problem with the physicality narrative, right? Like that's good playoff basketball.
Yeah, no, I'm not mad at it either. Yeah. And then that's what the Knicks are going to have to do to beat the Pacers, by the way, I think. Play nasty.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll talk about that. Put a pin in that one. Yeah. Because I want to talk a little bit about how they're going to have a good stat for that. But let's get to Jamie McGarry. Thank you so much, Jamie, from the UK. Wow. Oh, wait. Yeah. Wait, is that a pound? Yeah, it's a pound sign. But wait, the UK, I thought they used euros. Anyway, maybe they Brexit and now they're using pounds again. Anyway, thank you so much from over there. Is the Thunder defense going to forever change the NBA like Warriors offense did? A dangerous combination of speed, length, and aggression. You never when the Thunder used to have this defense as well back with Russ and KD.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They come in with incredible force with Ibaka. They had Steven Adams. They had a lot of Robertson. Remember, they had a lot of athletes just like that, and they were really physical. I mean, that's my memory of it back, in 2015. And it's interesting. It's the same team now, kind of reloaded with that same, mindset.
Players changed the league forever. Like Steph Curry changed the league forever. Back in the day, Wilt Chamberlain changed the league forever. OKC's personnel has changed the way it's going in the modern NBA right now. But a lot of times you can't duplicate that. And then a new guy comes along and he changes everything. And that could be Wemby next. Maybe it's Ant-Man. But I think it's the players that change the NBA forever and not really the type of offense a lot of times. And also the players dictate what type of offense teams play. So to me, it's the players that change the NBA.
Oh, I like that. And I'm looking at like, okay, what would have kept a player like Cason Wallace or who else am I thinking of on their team? I just said, God damn it all. Who's coming off the wait? Why don't I see him? Anyway, Wallace is a good example of that. Like, what would have kept him off the bench on the bench before that he couldn't shoot, right? Like Robertson was that problem, right, for them, right? You lockdown defender, really great, really aggressive, but he'd make it really hard on them on the offensive end. So what's the difference? Is that if they can shoot a little bit, they can play that 21 solid minutes, and you're not going to lose anything on the offensive end. And so that's like what Wallace does for them, for instance, which is really great. And then Caruso as well. Let me make sure Caruso. He was over 41% in the playoffs from three. And let me just see where he was. Caruso in the regular season was, 35%, which is kind of like, if you get to 35, 36, then there's enough gravity that you can play them, right? So, and that goes for Isaiah Joe as well. If he gets an opportunity, Aaron Wiggins as well, those guys. So that's really the key, right? Is the shooting. If you can get them to shoot enough and have that true 3-and-D, then yes, you can unleash this across the board and anywhere in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that's what? I mean, I think the league has been trending towards like two-way wings, right? That could really defend for a while now,
My worry is that they get there and they just assume that like whatever their level is of shooting, they just don't get any better. The teams will just kind of shrug, maybe try and move on whatever, and that frustrates me.
I don't think NBA teams really feel that way, or they don't do enough talking around the league and learn about the coaches that really do change things. Because there are some great shooting coaches in the NBA that really change the way players shoot the basketball for the better.
Well, it's funny because hardly any NBA teams now have shooting coaches. I mean, I know you're talking about the Heat.
Yeah, I mean, he changes guys,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's one, but there are very few. It's interesting why there are so few.
I didn't see. That's information you would have. Like every team doesn't have a guy like him. Like I don't know. Like is that not how it goes?
Yeah. That's pretty much how it is. There's and there used to be more, and then they kind of went away from that. And it's very possible they went away from it because they felt like it wasn't helping. Like they're not seeing results.
They didn't get the right guys, basically.
What?
They didn't get the right guys, basically, or something.
Well, right. So it's like if you're going to try and look for results, and that would only be in the team-wide 3-point percentage. Should they go up at all? Did the guys they need to go up or not? And it's tough because there's a lot of reasons why that might not work. But I will tell you this: if you're using archaic methods to help unlock shooting, then I wouldn't be surprised if it's completely random looking and the results aren't there for you. But there are ways I think that are proven that can unlock that. The kind of things that we've been talking about on the show for a long time, and very well might end up making their way to the NBA sooner than later. So that's that. So I guess we kind of covered that question. So there's no question that the template would certainly be like you want to have enough. You want to have 3 or 4 3-and-D guys, probably a couple guards, a couple wings at least, right? And then that can fly around the court, that are really physical and aggressive. And again, if I'm physical and aggressive, but my chest is open to the player, and I'm in in the path and legal guarding position, then that's what you want, right? And that will really help, and that helps guys like Hartenstein and Chet, in the back line, because now there's not as many straight line drives to the basket, and they can kind of worry about help defense and blocking and contesting. So, and then by the way, on the flip side of that is when you don't have that shooting, they don't have the gravity. What's also cool about the NBA now is they've really learned how to zone and load up to the stars and to make their life miserable. Yeah.
I think the biggest things you need as an NBA role player is the questions you have to answer are like, can you guard anyone? Can you guard everyone? Can you shoot? And if you can't guard everyone, I mean, it gets tougher and tougher. So I mean, I think there is going to be a combination of speed, length, and aggression. But as I said, like you need the personnel to do that. Not every team could play like the Pacers play totally different, because their personnel is totally different. And Rick Carlisle saw through his eyes that he has to play the game that's most conducive to the way his best player plays, and you got to read the room at the end of the day.
That's a good suggestion. All right, let's get to Cliff's side. Sorry for the delay, but here we are. Cliff, always great to see you. Thank you so much and be so generous for your super chat. Really, really appreciate it. And again, Cliff, you got to email me too. I want to send you a shirt. Coach Nick at bballbreakdown.com. Somehow prove that it's you. I don't know how, but maybe screenshot something. From a matchup and depth perception, from a matchup and depth perspective, does Minnesota present more problems for OKC than any other team in the West can?
I mean, they have two really good one-on-one players. So from that perspective, that makes sense. Like top end one-on-one, get a bucket, create your own. I mean, Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards are maybe the best duo right now, since LeBron is a little bit older. And I mean, those two are amazing, but they lost quick. But yeah, I don't see a better duo in terms of like one-on-one scoring than those two right now, right?
Right. I mean, it's a nice balance too, because you're going to get a lot of outside attack from Anthony Edwards off the dribble, and you'll get off the dribble attack from Randall, but it's more like high post or like into the lane and bully ball. He doesn't post up as much as I would probably say Randall could benefit from posting up a lot more.
Well, he puts his back to you in the mid post, like he spins off you and backs you down around like the foul line area a lot,
But yeah. I would have no problem with seeing him get a cross screen, get on that low block, and call for the ball, throw it down there.
He's really actually like a really versatile scorer. He could hit the three, he could play in the mid range, he could get all the way to the rim, and he could post. He's tough. Man.
Wait, what is he shooting for three this in the playoffs? I'm kind of curious. Let's get him up there because
kind of
up and down.
You could tell he really worked on his craft because he's like legit 3-level scorer. You
want to give a shout out to Brickley here? Is that what you're trying to do?
Oh, I don't know.
All right.
I'm giving a shout out to Julius Randle.
You're more than welcome to shout out whoever you like. In the playoffs, Randle is at 34.5% from 3 on 5.5 attempts per game. In the regular season, he was at 34.4. So he stepped it up and shooting better, 10% better than he was in the regular season, which is, again, once you get to 35, 36, then, you got to be out there. You can't be doing the rush defense on them where you can just lay off and ignore them. And so no question, that he is a handful. So again, does Minnesota present more problems for OKC than any other team? I mean, I'm trying to think of any other team. With Denver fully healthy causes many problems for Minnesota, for instance. I mean, I think that I think the Jokic. If they wanted to go Jokic Rudy, that's a problem for them, and they probably would have ended up going away from that. But the problem is someone like Jamal Murray, who would give them another one of those matchup problems. He didn't show up in Game 7. Not enough. Why do you think that was? He really was ineffective, I thought. 6 for 16, 13 points.
Why do you think that was?
What?
Why do you think that was?
I think he wilted under the pressure. I mean, I think that they were on him, and when if he got somebody off of him, if he got Caruso off him, then he's got Dort on him, and he gets Dort off him on a switch. He's got Wallace on him. I think they were just hounding him. He couldn't find any space, couldn't get a rhythm going at all. I didn't like the way the Nuggets offense was running. It certainly when Caruso comes in, they didn't seem to know how to take advantage of that properly. So, that was a great adjustment there.
You think that was like in his cards the whole time? Like he was just waiting for Game 7 to bring that out, or what?
Well, the only way we could find out in theory would be if we go through the regular season and we find a couple of sprinklings of Caruso guarding him, right?
Yeah, that'd be.
I believe I caught a couple.
Second spectrum, right? You'd have to go through second.
Yeah. Well, Synergy does it too. The primary defender, and I might have hit the wrong button, and I got primary defender Caruso without Jokic being the ball handler. Let me go through that. Maybe if I can again, I'll check. They might have discovered it, and then yes, back pocketed it. Well, no, and by the way, if that was the case, you better. If it was in the middle of if it was a November game or a February game, and somehow Caruso got on him and he stripped him or he held his position and made it really tough, yes, you better store that away and then not do it again, right? Because you don't want them to be any more prepared. And by the way, I think it was clear that Denver was not prepared for that. Now, we saw at the end of Game 6, and it was really working. Even though Game 6 went in the Denver Nuggets' favor, we did see a little bit of that. That's where I think the nugget of idea really blossomed to put him on there. So that's a great question. I would think that they might have seen it once or twice and then back pocketed until the end of the series. So yeah.
What's your prediction?
What's that?
Okay. What's your prediction for OKC versus Minnesota?
Wow. You want to make me go first?
I could go first.
Okay.
I think OKC in 6, even though I'd be happy to see either team win. I think it'd be cool stories for either of them, but I would have to go OKC.
They have home court advantage. I think it's going to go 7.
Depth. Don't you think the depth OKC has is just better? The two-way depth.
Yeah. I mean, they're not even playing. I mean, Wiggins got in there a little bit, but they're not even playing. Wait, who are they not playing? I mean, they're not playing Wiggins. He's not getting anywhere near his normal minutes, I believe. Let me check this all out. So they have even more depth than they're letting on.
They got, you know what? Yeah, in terms of creating your own, though, I mean, the top end for the Minnesota's better. You know,
Right.
like Jalen Williams is.
He's really kind of short on the stick here.
Jalen Williams as the second guy hasn't been consistent as Randall has. So that's one thing that Minnesota has. You know,
they're deep as heck. They really are. And Jalen Williams, when he comes in with Jalen with a Y, gosh, he was terrific on Jokic too. Really physical. He can shoot a three. He can pass. That's the guy. I said this before. I know if we go back even years before, talking about Jalen, the big Jalen Williams, being a real just a cheat code for them, where he can do a lot of things, and he's hurt a lot. We forget about him. And then, but let's give the other let's get J Dub some props too. He came to play and was just terrific from the get go.
He's really athletic, like defense to offense and transition. I mean, he could move. And then he has all the other stuff too that you want to see from the stars. Just not consistent yet, like the creating of his own shot and everything you want to see from a star NBA player. Just it's not every night for him yet, and he has to get there eventually.
I had to coach a team yesterday of high schoolers, and I was really I had to express my unhappiness with them about the speed with which they went from defense to offense. And I've had this trouble on occasion with certain teams, and it's weird because you think you would want to be able to sprint down to offense. We're going to get a score. We want to, and it was a weird thing. I don't know if you have any insights into that and what you would do and say to get them.
I think a lot of that has to be instilled in practice, and then also is the conditioning right? Like that's the two questions I would have. Like I think if you practice that from preseason, playing fast, like a lot of transition drills, I think that becomes muscle memory, and you do it. I think just telling a team to do it out of nowhere, if you've been playing like slow all year, or you happen to get a new coach, I don't think like a new coach goes play fast. It's just like it's instinctive. It's like just the way you play, All
right, I like that. That makes sense to me. Yeah, and you're right. We had 6 guys, so that could have been part of their factor as well. But I don't know about you, but when I was 16, playing in a 20-minute half running clock game, I could play 3 of those in a row. and
I mean, New York City growing up, everything was like this. So it's everything was in transition.
So I mean, we were doing it in 90-degree gyms and whenever it was like, uphill both ways, whatever, but in the snow. But still, 90-degree gyms uphill in the snow. Yeah, pretty much. But at any rate, it just felt like it's interesting the mental mindset that we've moved toward a little bit. And again, it's interesting how that's going to manifest in terms of how these kids when they're older and then pros, and not the kids I'm coaching, but all those kids in the new environment of coaching style and method. And it's kind of interesting because back in the day it was a lot more anger and disgust and intensity, I think, of communication style. It's interesting to see if we can unlock that kind of really intense kind of play without having to use anger. We'll see if we can do that. But let's get to our next question. Listen, Cliff is back. Thank you so much, Cliff, for the double super chat in a row. Really appreciate it. Thoughts on Aaron Gordon's comments about schedule? I think what he said was it was really a shame we had to play every other day.
They did play a lot of games in a shorter period of time, but a lot of playoff teams do that. I was thinking about watching that game yesterday, like, man, that is a lot of games in a short period of time, but that's why winning an NBA championship is so tough. But I was thinking, like, you have to get right back to it after that type of intensity. Every possession, you're playing as hard as you can. It's not easy.
It should, in the 2-2-1-1-1 format, you should play the first 2 games and have an extra day on the travel. You should. And again, are they giving them extra days during the regular season so that the playoffs got compressed in the first couple of rounds? Maybe, because I know the Warriors had the same problem too, where they were every other day almost consistently. And I think that the Lakers might have had a little bit of a favorable schedule. They might have had 2 instances where they had an extra day. And at least they had at least one earlier than a lot of the other teams did. And that it seems like a no-brainer. They should be able to figure out how to do that. Because again, we had Aaron Gordon go down. Unfortunately, we had Steph Curry go down. And listen, do the Warriors win that series if Steph Curry is healthy? I kind of think that they could have. Certainly, it could have. Would have? I don't know, but I'd give them more than a 50% chance of winning that series after what we saw in Game 1. So that's just brutal.
What do you think? What do you think? Not to compare injuries. I've been through a lot of injuries myself, so I'm not just here talking crazy. But I mean, Steph Curry did have a grade 1 hamstring injury and did not play. Ooh. And Aaron Gordon had a grade 2 hamstring injury and did play.
Yes. So he played in the game 7, which is what you had said earlier. I got all off season to recover, if whatever, to give it a go. I was a little surprised that Steph didn't give it a go in game 5. I thought maybe he'd just try and see. But this is he's got next year to think about, and maybe one more year after that. And then Aaron Gordon is a little younger.
Do you even if he restrains the hamstring, I don't think that affects next year.
I mean, that's true. So
yeah.
So it's we can't really get in the mindset of at least how the players are really feeling, but the other argument could very well be he didn't play in game 5, for instance, because you're already down 1-4. He was playing the next game, by the way.
No, yeah. I mean, even Anthony Edwards was saying, we know you're trying to get to game 6 so Wardell could play.
Yeah, right. So we knew he was going to do it, give it a go then. But when you're down, 1-3, I guess that's just a different situation. So it's you can't really compare what Gordon did in that sense. And Gordon is younger.
And honestly, if I was the one playing, and I've sat out for ankle injuries before, I'd be if Steph Curry's out there watching this, I'd be annoyed at that question by me. But hey, it's my job. This is what I do.
Right. But I think we have to test it well enough,
Yeah.
So that's a very tough one. And again, Gordon, probably shouldn't have played. And he gave him a little bit in the first quarter, but they needed to pull the plug quicker on that one. But again, their hands were tied because Michael Porter Jr. was already banged up. They just don't have a very deep team anyway. And if you think about it, with Gordon being hobbled like he was, and we knew Strother was not going to do what he did in game 6 on the road. So those game kind of told you what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And by the way, when you say in that context, it's nothing about what Caruso did to guard Jokic had, caused a 40-point loss or whatever it was.
No.
I mean, listen, it was a crucial moment of the game in the second quarter when the whole changed. Again,
I wonder if Aaron Gordon was healthy, though, if that would have changed things. It could have. You never know.
It might have, but certainly they still would have needed to adjust it a lot better to Caruso guarding Jokic, a lot better. And that's the only would that have happened? We'll see. But the Drew Show is with us. Somewhat great to see you, Drew, the best friend of the breakdown as well. Always great to see you. I'm glad the teams that fired coaches and made fraudulent trades didn't prosper. New York, Minnesota trade was legit. Cheaters and whiners shouldn't win. Screw Denver. So the teams that fired coaches. Okay, so I'm thinking he's talking about Cleveland.
No, I thought he's talking about Mike Malone and Jenkins. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So he's only talking about it's plural, right? We got to figure out teams that fired coaches. So okay.
I feel like Cleveland is old. I feel like the Cleveland is old news, especially in the modern NBA, right? That firing is old already.
I mean, I guess right, but anyway, but New York, Minnesota trade. So yeah, it's fascinating that those two teams are still in it, with Cat going to New York and then Randall going to Minnesota. Now, who won that trade? Is there any way to ascertain that?
They both won that trade, but if one of those teams won a championship, they won it even more.
Yeah, right. All right. So that'll be the decision. Or whoever gets deeper in the playoffs. How about that?
I mean, I think the clear winner when one wins a championship, but then you could debate, right? If neither team wins. But I see what you're saying. And you also have to, if only one team just goes a little bit further but doesn't win, then I think you have to wait it out. I think it's still TBD, if that's fair.
No, so let's go to the Knicks Pacers series, because I'm interested to talk about that. It's a throwback to Rick Smith's era, Reggie Miller against oh my goodness, which team was that? Was that Stark? No, Starks was gone.
Starks, Derek Harper, Anthony Mason, Charles Smith, Patrick Ewing. Yeah,
right. Yeah, it was the end of that run, because Starks had already been playing against MJ earlier on that too.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay. But that was that was some intense stuff happening back then, and we're gonna have it again. But here's a really cool stat that I found. Although, am I going to be able to find the exact numbers? Because let me just see if I can just do it quickly. If I type in my name and Pacers real quick, I tweeted this out. Maybe you guys saw it. Where I'm worried about the Knicks defense, and let's see here. Is this it? Okay, are you ready? Are you ready, Campbell? Are you sitting down?
I'm sitting down.
Okay. The Celtics against the Knicks in the last round averaged a playoff low 238 passes per game. Okay. So that's what the Knicks were defending against. So that's in terms of ball movement. The Pacers against the Cavs averaged 337 passes a game. 100 passes per game more than the Celtics. 100. I can't even fathom what that means, right? Even though if you want to divide it over 48 minutes, it's like a couple passes a minute more. That's a lot. Now, the average speed on offense from Boston was 4.2 miles an hour, 12th out of 16. The average speed for the Pacers was 4.66 first, which is like a half a mile an hour faster. So I don't think that the Knicks are even close, are ready for what's going to happen to them when they have to try and start chasing around the Pacers.
I think there's some keys for the Knicks here. I think you deny Halliburton right away off a made basket. And I also think you try and get the Pacers to play more one-on-one basketball.
Okay. So deny Halliburton one-on-one. Let's kind of get this going. Okay. And then what was the other part?
Right off a make. And then find a way to get them. And you could probably speak to this better than me. Like, how do you get them to play more one-on-one basketball, less ball movement?
Yeah. So here's the key. When they're moving the ball so much and you're allowing them to play catch with each other, they're going to get a good shot. And they had a very high offensive rating in the playoffs so far. So you have to be able to deflect and deny passes. Now, an NBA team you're not going to be able to deny every pass, right? So you have to do the thing that Phil Jackson used to do back in the day when the Bulls was he'd make a deal with them and say, okay, just give me 15 possessions over the course of the game where we're going to take away the one pass we want you to take away. Like we scouted their team, we know the play they're running. We got to just deny this one pass. And of those 15 possessions, they score 4 times, 5 times, and they'll win by 9 or 10 points, right? Like that's an easy way to compartmentalize how to handle as much effort as you can get on defense, right? So they're going to have to be able to pick and choose very specific possessions in my mind where they're going to be like, there's no negotiable here. You have to deny that pass to the elbow or to the wing or whatever it is, right? And then at least force them into some other kind of decision there. And then stress deflections. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just when you can't take away everything. And then it's so tough with the Pacers because they got a release valve in Miles Turner and he makes them unique. And then Tyrese Halliburton shoots it so efficiently and Pascal could play in isolation. And then you got all the role players who they're not shooting. Actually, the shot quality hasn't been great, but they're making everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just, we say all these things, but if the Pacers continue to shoot like that, making tough shots at a high clip, I mean, at a point, there's nothing you could really do. So we have to see if that percentage regresses to the mean,
Right. Well, let's look at some 3-point percentages on Indiana from the last round. So we have, let's do it by attempts, the most attempts. So Nesmith had the most attempts per game and only 5.8 per game in the 5 games they played. And he shot 45%. Yeah. Halliburton took 4.8 a game and nailed 46%. Nembhard, 4.4 attempts, 50%. Mathurin, 3.4 attempts per game, 41%. Miles Turner, 3 a game, 56%. So, yeah, this is insane. They were collectively completely on fire. And again, a lot of it has to do with the fact that the ball was moving so well. So, there is a direct correlation to the amount of passes in a possession and the field goal percentage, right? It goes up as the number of passes go up. Now, what also goes up when the number of passes goes up, Combo?
Tell me more.
Well, you're passing the ball around, so you're increasing the odds of what?
Turnovers?
Yes. You can throw it away, right? So there's a happy medium, in terms of how many passes you want to get and limit the possibility for turnovers. Guess what that number usually tends to be? How many passes in a possession?
Well, I'll tell you from a philosophical standpoint, but you could give me the number. I think once you get a good shot, you should get it up because after that, you probably won't get another good shot, and then there's a higher chance for a turnover.
Absolutely. You never know what's going to happen after that, but there is still a sweet spot. At least this was the case, I don't know, it's a while ago. When I'd seen some of the passing field goal percentage stats, it was probably like 5-6 years ago, whatever it was, but I don't think it's changed, honestly. And you know why I don't think it's changed? I don't think it's changed for about 80 years. So what number of passes do you think it is? Let's see. Maybe, you know what? You're not as well versed in the whole, movies and everything like that. But you must have seen this movie that I'm talking about, right? A basketball movie.
Tell me.
Have you ever seen the movie Hoosiers?
Yeah. It's not one of my favorites, but I've seen it.
What?
I mean, I think
favorites.
I think White Men Can't Jump was better.
What? White Man was better than Hoosiers? one of the greatest films of all time, generally as a film, and you're going to say Man Can't Jump is better than Hoosiers?
Hoop Dreams. Hoop Dreams wasn't better than Hoosiers.
The documentary, but whatever. It's a little different. I don't like. That's trying to compare.
I don't know. I watch Hoosiers. It wasn't as exciting for me as some of those like newer movies, and those aren't even that new anymore. They're not even close to being new.
That pains me. Like that's.
Well, I mean, what's enjoyable for me,
I know, and it pains me that you don't find the joy in the movie Hoosiers of all things.
I would say that Hoosiers is probably better than Blue Chips. I'll give you that. Oh, wait. This movie is better than Hoosiers. I'll tell you the movie that's better than Hoosiers. He Got Game is better than Hoosiers.
I mean, I liked He Got Game. It was good, different, but it's not. It can't be. It's Hoosiers is like a perfect film. Structurally, acting, cinematography, everything.
Hoosiers is not better than He Got Game. Come on.
I listen. I used to be a really big fan of Spike Lee's movies way back in the day, and then like it kind of got loose for me a little bit on some of them. And just weird decisions. I remember I used to write screenplays. I worked in Hollywood for a long time before I got back into this. So I have a different perspective on film and writing and cinematography.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about these two basketball movies.
I know. I don't know. You got to, I guess, maybe try to watch Hoosiers again. It's whatever. But the point being that when you watched Hoosiers, you don't remember how many passes he demanded before a shot went up?
How many, Coach Nick?
4. And it seemed like arbitrary or I don't know, whatever. But turns out, guess what? That is the number. 4 passes get you the highest field goal percentage in relation to limiting turnover possibility as well. So that's the sweet spot. You get 4 passes in a possession. So. Okay. That's the key here for that. Now, by the way, you mentioned like Siakam isoing. Listen, they'll take that all day. If he wants to ISO.
Coach Nick, he's a bucket in the ISO. I've seen him make I remember versus the Nets last year. It's random. It was like random regular season game. But he went to like the same mid-range post move at the foul line and made like 4 in a row the same exact way. Like he's tough in isolation, but I see what you're saying. Like it takes a little bit away from the flow and the ball movement and the player movement.
Yeah, and then who would he be doing it against? By the way,
he could. OG would be tougher, and that's his former teammate. So but he could get Mikal like that. I think he could get some guys like that.
All right. I don't know. Those guys are also very, very tough. He's going to make it really hard on him. I'll tell you that. So if he hits it, you tip your cap. So that's the other thing. Now, again, it's hard to understand why the Knicks, who can have so many good defenders, had such a mid defensive rating for the regular season, and not much better. They're a little bit better in the playoffs. They have been, without question, but not. It should be higher than that. They should be better than that. And so that's my worry, is that the defense is going to have a lot of trouble. Now, on the other side, the Pacers could have trouble with the Knicks, right? But the Knicks have shown that they're going to take tough shots. And you got to hope that they can kind of continue that magic. That's going to be a real interesting thing. That's why I think I've gotten there. I've gotten there where I'm going to be able to pick the Pacers as the underdog. They're the underdog, lower seed. I think they're going to win.
Pacers in 6.
Okay. Do you think they can do it before 7?
No. And I also wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks win, by the way. But my official prediction will be Pacers in 6.
Okay. Right. I mean, what I'm saying is, you think that they could do it that quickly? It wouldn't take them till 7 to win.
Well, 7's in New York, right?
Yeah.
That's tough.
It is tough.
Yeah.
And by the way,
I mean, imagine Halliburton winning a game in the Garden and game. Oh my God!
Yeah, and then Reggie Miller comes out at half court and they embrace, and then they both do this.
No, that's too much. I'm from New York. You can't do that much, Coach Nick.
Yeah, right. Well, and Reggie doesn't seem to be that excited about being re-embroiled in this whole thing, right? Josh Hart did it to him last year when he cussed in the mic during the live broadcast.
Oh wow! Okay,
remember that?
Yeah. Josh knows how to get the fans going. I'll give that.
And Josh didn't mean it in a mean way, whatever. But it was just weird and random. He comes out and he says, "F you" to Reggie. And
he was joking, right? He was kidding.
Right. So he's trying to take it back, like you took our hearts then. We're taking it back. I get it, but it was just interesting.
But they ended up losing. I mean, they ended up losing to the Pacers last year.
They did. I mean, don't forget what the Pacers did last year, which probably could be a similar method of attack. Again, it was they just went as fast as they could, and they knew there was going to be a win series and wore them out.
2 things could be true. The Pacers are better than last year for sure, but the Knicks are way more healthy than last year for sure. So we will have to see what develops.
Right. With OG hamstring, he was grabbing at the hamstring, but then there really wasn't much of a report. Remember that? Like there was a moment in one of the games, not maybe
I
the
mean,
last.
I mean, Randall wasn't playing.
No, I'm talking about this year.
Oh, this year. Okay.
Yeah. But I guess they're as healthy as they're going to be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no. I mean, Brunson keeps twisting his ankle, but he seems healthy. I mean, Cat is healthy. I mean, they have their whole team basically. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Mitchell Robinson will probably needs so many more minutes. It's insane, and that's the reason why.
How many of those games did Randall play last year with the Pacers? It's so long. It feels like so long ago already.
He probably played them all. I don't remember him being.
I thought he was out. I don't know why.
He went out with the hamstring, and then Brunson breaks his hand. Right. That was at the very end after the game was decided, unfortunately. But But they wore him down. Like so, OG's hamstring to me was all the pace up and down so fast over enough games and way too many minutes, and that's what they know Tibbs is going to do. They're going to play. They're all going to play 39, 40 minutes, and that's going to be. I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. We'll see. Keep your eye on that in terms of hamstring and all sorts of little banged up injuries that happen when you overplay. The sweet spot on there is probably like 37 minutes tops. Mm-hmm. Like if Steph could have gotten out without having to play the play-in, or that last game 7 against the Rockets, like he probably doesn't, get his hamstring taken out. You know what I mean? Like those are tough. All right, let's get to some more super chats before we wrap up the show because I have to get to my next thing quickly, and then finish the damn Jokic Caruso thing. All right, let's get to the Drew Show. Thanks so much, Drew. Again, multiple super chats. Really, really appreciate this every time you guys do it. Jokic is a one-dimensional offensive player. What? Shame on the modern NBA for lionizing him. Wow, Drew is just throwing. He's got a flamethrower out there. Unseld is better than Joker. Wow. If he was even marginal on D, they win Game 4 and the series. No, so that's the problem. I think his defense is underrated. Jokic.
I agree.
He knows how to make plays. He likes to stay out of foul trouble early, which is totally, I get it. And also, when you fill up the box score 30 points, 15 rebounds, 8 and 10 assists, you have leeway to if your defense isn't completely on point, you're still a huge positive across the game and impact. But what was the first part? So and by the way, one dimensional, like he's passing, he's scoring, he's posting up, he can shoot threes. So I don't know what the one dimensional thing is, Drew. You think he's just ranting, I guess?
Yeah, everything you said. I mean, he rebounds well. That's the one thing you didn't mention that he does really well also. I mean, he rebounds his own shot well. He's an incredible player. He's the best player in the NBA. Yeah. No, I disagree. Yeah.
Remember, Wes Unseld was the one who was limited. He was a very one-dimensional offensive player.
Well, he was a great his best part of his game was outlet passing, right? And Jokic probably does that better.
And that was great. And he had a little turnaround hook and whatever, but he was not an offensive player like that at all. I only remember. I gotta rack my brain to remember
who was better. Who was better, Unseld or Darryl Dawkins?
Oh my God, it's weird too. Because Unseld didn't score like that. I think Unseld could pass from the high post. I can kind of see some plays where he was pretty good at that. But Darryl Dawkins?
Yeah, he was a crazy athlete.
Yeah, great athlete. Didn't pass.
Okay.
But he was kind of like Randall. He's like Randall who didn't pass.
But more athletic though.
Probably
jump higher. Yeah. Yeah, but a lot like that. Body type was similar. He was one mindset. I'm going to score. I also think he was bigger, right?
I think he was about 6'10", and what's Randall, 6'8"? Yeah. He was a little taller, but he. I'm sure Randall could. I'm sure Randall could handle better, but that's probably the evolution of the game, right? Yeah. I mean, it's funny. We probably never got a chance to see Darryl Dawkins handle the ball much. I think he could, but those guys just weren't allowed. It's crazy. But all right, let's get to Teddy Hart. Thank you so much, Teddy. I really appreciate it. Welcome to the show. I don't think we've had you before, but I really, really thanks so much. And they say if Nuggets had Markkanen instead of MPJ, does the outcome change? If so, should they pursue him? I mean, it's a problem. I think they have healthy. If they had healthy MPJ, yeah. Oh, really? Even then? So you think that MPJ is better than Markkanen? No, he's not a better basketball player than Markkanen, but I think they would have had enough if MPJ. I mean, MPJ was all messed up. First of all, he's messed up since it's amazing his career turned out. Like his back is messed up probably till this day, and then now he has the shoulder thing. Right. If you're wondering why his defense isn't great, it's because his back is messed up. He can't move. Because again, you don't need him to be a defensive stopper. You don't need him to be a guy who's getting the steals and all that. You just need to be able to make a play or two every game, and he really can't even do that. Right? You can see he's stiff. it doesn't explode as well. Earlier in his career, the Nuggets, he was a little bit more mobile, and I feel like he's getting less and less mobile, and that doesn't surprise me with back issues that probably don't really go away. I would upgrade DeMarcus in a second without even thinking about it.
Why would the Jazz do it though? Like, do the Nuggets have assets?
You'd have to get something, a whole bunch of firsts, 3.
Yeah, I mean, marketed's definitely the better player. I mean,
all around, probably all around. Yeah.
He's not a better shooter though, right? Yeah.
No, Markkanen is better. Probably not, but he's good. He's a good shooter. And he's good enough. And I wouldn't be surprised if they want to kind of. I know they've probably been talking about maybe moving on from MPJ for a little while. And seeing how it goes. So I wouldn't be surprised. Like, this is the year. Like, okay, well, we need to shake up things up a little bit, upgrade the roster a little bit better, get deeper. They might use. He would probably be the first guy they're going to use to frame a trade around for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, really, what screwed them was losing KCP and Brown. Those are the guys they need.
Well, they got Westbrook, who's like another Brown. No, another. What's Brown's first name?
Bruce.
Yeah, another Bruce Brown.
I'm sorry. You want to compare how they fit in both ways? No. Russ helps him a little bit, but he hurts him a little bit. Brown was really,
Brown was a better shooter and a better like lob threat, right?
Yeah. He didn't really have to shoot that much. He kind of stayed within himself a lot more. Wouldn't make the mistakes that Russ makes.
Okay.
And absence of mistakes is a lot of times better than maybe getting a little extra that Russ gives you because he's trying all these different things.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I mean, that's just how it is. I'm sorry, Russ fans, but I think it was pretty clear. Although people didn't seem to get it in the first half yesterday. His stats were okay, but there was so many times where they were ignoring him. He's in the way, and then he threw some really errant passes that were off. So like one of the plays that people probably want to foul for Jokic. Yeah, there's a little bit of a hold maybe around the waist or something like that, which is iffy. But when the pass was so off target, he wasn't going to catch it anyway. It's one of those football things where no flag is thrown because the pass wasn't catchable, and it was thrown by Russ. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of thing that a different player doesn't throw that like that, and he struggles with that sometimes. So, all right, let's go. So Lee Vidmar gives us a thank you much, Lee. Great to see you. It's been a little while. No question though. Interesting. So, but here, let's get it from here. Maybe he meant to put it here. What about The Pistol from the mid-90s?
Oh, great movie. Great movie.
I've seen this movie.
Yeah. So it's about Pistol Pete and growing up through his high school ranks.
What?
Shoot it from the hip like a gunfighter.
What? I don't remember. How could I possibly miss this one?
Come on, Coach Nick.
I'm
great
going
movie.
on IMDb right now. The Pistol. 1991.
Pistol Pete Maravich.
Oh, so this looks like a made-for-TV movie or something, is it? Or
it was. It would be if it was a DVD era, it would definitely be straight to DVD. But it's a great movie.
Yeah, Nick Benedict is.
Look, you got to understand, Coach Nick. I consumed everything Pistol Pete when I was a kid. All the homework basketball tapes.
Yeah,
I used to watch his highlight LSU tape that was on VHS, and I also used to watch The Pistol. Great movie.
Yeah,
Great job, Lee.
Homework basketball I loved, but I'll have to. I don't know if I can even. I'm sure it's not streaming, but okay. Interesting.
I personally like that movie better than The Pistol, but I don't know if you could say it's great or all time.
Wait, which movie are you talking about?
The Pistol is better than Hoosiers.
Oh, better than Hoosiers?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to mute you in a minute if you keep saying stuff like that. All right, the Drew Show. Thank you so much, Drew. Always good to see you. And I got to get this going. Every time I see a graphic with Joker against players like Shaq, Wilt, Moses, and Kareem, I say, so what? Fatty Euro can't block a shot. Shameful. So remember, just because a guy looks awkward, he doesn't look ripped, doesn't mean he's not effective on the court. My wife's the same way. She's like, I don't understand this. How is this possible?
Is this the nightcap version of even though we're in the middle of the day? Like these comments are getting crazy from the Drew Show.
Drew, there must be an agenda somewhere with Drew. I don't know what it is, but certainly
is that Drew? Is that Drew in the picture or no?
That's Drew Carey.
Okay.
Unless it's Drew Carey who's been out with us this whole time.
Who is it? I mean, the Drew Show's been with us for years. Who is the Drew Show?
Who is Drew? Out yourself, damn it. We don't know, but certainly someone who's with us for years, multiple super chats, and can't thank you enough. But this is the first time I remember him being so.
He's on one today.
Yeah, he's got some axes to grind. There's more. Let's listen to this. Hey, Drew, thank you. Have I illustrated enough how much I think Joker as MVP is the biggest whitewashing in sports history? I hope fraudulent fatty Euro goes away. Wow. Okay. I don't know. The no-look passing, the beautiful touch inside, the long down court passes. That's we should celebrate that stuff. Find the joy in where you can.
You know what Jokic does better than any other great player ever, in my opinion? He creates advantage throughout the course of the whole game. He's always playing basketball when he's playing basketball, and he's a great player.
Yeah, he really is. And every advanced metric, every number, everything you see compared to all those guys he's just surpassed them, is what he's doing. Now, part of it could be pace and there's more opportunities, but I think even adjusted for pace, he's still surpassing them. We haven't had anybody score like this, rebound like this, assist like this. You know what I mean? Like that's, we got to celebrate that. He's terrific.
Cut one, bench one, start one. Kobe Bryant, Larry Bird, Jokic.
Cut one. What's the other two? Cut one what?
Bench one, start one.
Bench. Wow. Larry, Kobe, and Jokic. I would probably start Jokic.
Wow. I'm starting Larry.
Oh no, I don't know. I might have to put. I don't know who I would choose between Kobe and listen. I don't think it's a secret that I never really enjoyed the way Kobe played because I'm a triangle offense coach, and he just resisted the triangle all that time. So like Tex Winter and I used to have these conversations, right? And Tex was his coach, right, the Lakers, and I would tell him to his face, I'm like, I don't know, I just Kobe, the way he plays in the triangle, I'm not gonna put him in the top of the list for shooting guards.
Okay. I mean,
but that's your preference, and it is like ultimate, like what Kobe did on the court.
Who are the? I mean, he's one of the top 5 shooting guards easily of all time. It's
Kobe?
probably It's I mean, it's Michael Jordan, it's Kobe, it's Dwayne Wade, it's James Harden, and Jerry West.
Yeah, that sounds right. James Harden. Okay. Yeah. I think we're missing somebody though.
I don't know,
but maybe not. Maybe not. But like Oscar, I guess we'll have him.
He feels more like a point guard, like the LeBron type role, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like scoring combo-ish too. I mean, he filled it up too, but okay.
Oh, did I miss? I said Michael Jordan, right? I said Michael Jordan first.
You better come to the top, or else I'm muting you for sure. I'm going to kick you off of the stage. All right. Let's get to we got at least one more here. I'm losing track of how many super chats we have now. But Iverson. Iverson, again, we got to discuss which. I don't know. Iverson is in his own category because of the position he played. You know what I mean? That's the other problem is it's hard to start comparing these by position when they all play differently. But although obviously Kobe and Michael played the same. So Lee Vidmar. Lee, thanks so much, Lee. What about the pistol from the mid-'90s? Oh, okay. I guess did he do that twice? Oh, I see. He did it and then gave us another super chat, even though we found it as a regular chat. So, yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad that you were able to weigh in on the pistol from the mid-'90s because I haven't. And I'm going to have to try and track it down. If anybody has a link.
I thought you were a basketball historian, Coach Nick. You didn't see the pistol?
Well, I'm trying to think. It was when I was in college in 1991. And you know how that goes. Like I was a freshman in college. And
I was a little kid. I actually first watched it at 76ers basketball camp. Yeah, but they put it on for us. Yeah.
So I have to imagine it was probably because I was so busy being in college that, we don't watch a lot of TV back then. And so, it just didn't, I never noticed it or something, but I'll try and find it. If someone has a link, email.
I have to say it's definitely an obscure movie. I would have to admit that.
Yeah. I mean, the guy that plays Pistol Pete doesn't have any other credits. It looks like there's a one-off for that.
Well, yeah. It was a kid. Yeah. It was a kid. Yeah. It was for high school days. Yeah.
It wasn't Leonardo DiCaprio in the Basketball Diaries, or is that what it was called? Or he was in the basketball.
I didn't really enjoy that movie either. I don't know. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough basketball for me.
Right. So, all right. Anyhow, I gotta go. I gotta go record my political pod. So, we're massively moving into authoritarianism. I must now comment on that. So, good luck staying away from that. Yeah, you don't understand. Like, I'm going out of the country and I'm coming back in July. I am convinced they're going to detain me and ask me about my podcast, and I think that will happen. So, it's already happened to some other much bigger influencer than me. I have a feeling by July they'll be getting down the list to me too. So just know that I might need to call on you, and you have to find me a lawyer if we're landing in, JFK.
I got you. I got you, Coach Nick.
All right, but I'll try and stream it. How about that? If they detain me, I'll stream it to my.
Oh, we could go live from where will you be? Prison?
Well, maybe from like a small room in the airport.
As long as you just let them know, like I got to do this live show at Combo, even though I'm detained.
Right. I'll just drop Combo. I'll just drop your name.
Yeah. Then you're good.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You carry a lot of weight in the Homeland Security. Okay. Good.
Everywhere. I'm combo.
All right, awesome. All right, well, thank you so much, everybody out there, for all the super chats. A great show today. Great, nice audience. Great questions. Combo, as always, a great show. This might be one of our best shows.
I agree, man. We just keep getting better.
Yeah,
and
so,
you never know. You never know when, like, every era has the end. Kind of like the Celtics. You never know, Coach Nick. You never know what could be happening. You never know.
You never know. So
we got to enjoy every episode, and the people have to enjoy every episode. Enjoy it while it's here.
Right. I might be in a prison in El Salvador by the end of July. So we got to celebrate now. And spread the word, let everyone know about it. And we're always here on Mondays, midday on the West Coast. And then we're going live. We'll go live at least twice, I think, this week after games. There's games every night. So keep your notifications on.
Are they early? Are they early games? I hope they're early.
Well, obviously the East Coast games are early.
Okay, good. We'll make it happen.
Maybe we'll drive. Maybe we'll do one East, one West, whatever. We'll keep it balanced. But anyway, don't forget, don't miss those. And don't forget, sports fans, the B-Ball Breakdown. We're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Combo?
Yes, sir.